fast current very often. Now, they've cut us a little bit short today with that other seminar, and I want to leave a little bit of end of time today to talk about questions and answers. We want you to ask any questions in here or out there that you might have, whether it's about our tackle, whether it's about a catfish you caught 20 years ago. We don't care what it is. We want you to feel free to answer us any questions. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about some of the products that you've been seeing here on the show. And Grizzly Jig is handling the Team Catfish products now. And let's talk about what we have, what I've developed and put together in the Team Catfish brand that can make you a better catfish angler. Now, I'm going to start. I talked a little bit about the Secret 7 and our dip bait holders. If I have a little bit extra time, I'll talk more about those. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about here is the rods. Okay. Now, in October, I released a line of catfish rods in casting and spinning models. Whether your eyes are up, you're casting, your eyes are down, you've got a spinning model. Okay? All of these models are called the half ton, which is a 7-foot medium light. There's a 3/4 ton, which is a 7'6" medium heavy. And then there's a 1 ton, that's an 8-foot heavy action rod. Whether they're casting or spinning, the actions all stay the same. Well, what can a rod do to make you a better catfish angler? It can do a lot. It can really help you. Contrary to the belief, we are really proud of the actions that we have on our rods. And I spent a long time, and I cut up a lot of blanks before I found a rod that will do what I'm about ready to show you this rod's going to do. Now, in reservoirs and rivers, it's been my experience that on the best fishing days, the rod just about gets yanked out of the boat, or the catfish buries it in the rod holder, hooks himself, and everybody has a party. That's what we're all looking for. But there's a lot of days that doesn't happen. There's a lot of days where you got to be a better catfish angler to catch that catfish. So, one of the things we got to noticing after years and years of guiding was there's some days that's all I see. That's it. That's it. My fish has got the bait, but that's all he's going to do. And all of my rods have what we call a parabolic bend on them, where you're going to see the whole rod is going to bend, but I put a soft enough tip on my rods that it takes very little pressure in order to make that rod tip bend. There's some good catfish anglers in the back here, some people that I've seen at several tournaments, and I can tell you folks, there's these people, some of them I've talked to, like lots of other catfish guides and tournament anglers across the country. There's a lot of days this is all they see right here, and they get up and they get that rod. Okay? Now, all of the half ton, the 3/4 ton, and the 1 ton are designed to do this. Whether you're fishing for channel cats out in the lake, or you're fishing with 16-ounce sinkers on the Mississippi River with the 1 ton rod, all of these rods have a very soft tip on them. Okay? Now, the other thing that we have on our rods is, of course, they're white. We like white rods because you can see them better at night, you can see them better during the day, and then we have high-vis yellow wraps on them. We wanted to build really the brightest rod that we could build, and that was easiest to see. So, the other thing that we have, some other features that we have stainless steel eyes on all of our casting models. I did not want a painted stainless or a brushed stainless or something that wasn't a really quality eye. They take the eyes and they put the yellow wrap down first, and then they go over it with the black wrap. That's called double wrapping, and then they put a tremendous amount of lacquer over my wraps. This is as strong as you can put an eye on a rod right here. We have a lot of eyes on our rod, so the line follows the curvature of the rod. And then one of the neatest things about it is what we call a parabolic bend. There's a lot of catfish anglers that have never seen a parabolic bend in a rod. Well, what's that? Well, when that rod goes down, the whole rod starts to bend. From the tip all the way down, okay? See that curvature in that rod? Well, when you're fighting a big catfish, especially if you use a lot of braid, you need some sort of a shock absorber there. You need something that's going to fight that fish. And there's a lot of rods on the market that the tip bends on, but the rest of the rod never bends. So when you hook up with a big fish, you got a chance of tearing that hook out of that big fish. Now, like I said, all of the rods are designed the same. All the action's the same, whether they're casting or spinning. The 1/2 ton is the lightest, the 3/4 ton is the middle, and the 1 ton is the heavy action rod. The 1/2 ton is designed to handle sinkers up to 6 ounces. The 3/4 ton is designed to handle sinkers up to 8 ounces. And the 1 ton rod is literally designed to handle and cast sinkers up to 16 ounces. Does that sound extreme for a lot of people? Fishing with 16 ounces of lead in the river? That's chunky, a big chunk of lead out there, but I see some folks in here that aren't laughing, that fish with those biggest sinkers. And we wanted to have a rod that you bet. Okay, now what's some of the other products that Grizzly Jig has here that can make your catfish trip more enjoyable? Well, we started looking at the, we use a lot of braided line. This is Power Pro 65-pound braid right here, and I like braided line because I don't like any stretch in my line. When I get ready to set the hook on a fish, I want 0 stretch in my line. Have you really looked at how hard a catfish's mouth is? It's hard. Our double action hooks are extremely sharp. Even as sharp as they are, I don't really like them on a filament because it stretches around 30%. That's a lot of stretch. And in about a 60-yard building, you can take monofilament, 30-pound monofilament, and tie it to something on that 60 feet away, and you can get this much stretch out of it. Braid stretches 1%. That's all the stretch you're going to get out of it. So we use 65-pound braid. For the majority of my fishing, whether it be in reservoirs or rivers, I use 65-pound braid, and when I'm in the rivers, when I'm in the reservoirs, I use 40-pound Cajun red monofilament leaders, and when I'm in the rivers, I use 50 or 60. Sometimes I'll step up to 100-pound braid, but for the most part, 65 and 40 is a really, really good combination that works for us. Now, I'm going to show you a product here that a lot of catfish anglers are just now getting turned on to. This thing really seems simple, and it is simple, but it's such a great product. It's called the No. 6 Sinker Slide, Team Catfish Sinker Slide. We're using them on all these rods on the video here. But what makes the Sinker Slide such a good product? Well, right now I don't have a sinker on my line. Right now I do. That quickly, I can change sinkers from this 2 ounce to a 10 ounce, from a 1/2 ounce to a 16 ounce, okay? This will save you a lot of grief when you're fishing. If you go in behind a wing dam or you go somewhere and the current's not quite as swift as it is out in the middle of the river, wouldn't it be nice to fish with a little bit lighter sinker sometime without having to cut your line to change sinker sizes? That's one of the advantages the No. 6 Sinker Slide can do. Another thing is if you fish with a lot of tight line, you want to see that catfish swim off with that bait. This slide is so slick that when that sinker's laying on the bottom, that catfish can pull that line through that slide, and he's never going to feel it. He's never going to feel it at all. And then another advantage is you can take your sinkers off your rods at night, and it keeps them from getting all tangled up and twisted up and knock, 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 clack, 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 bang, bang, bang on your rods. And if you're using big sinkers, that's a big deal. Big sinkers always are pulling on your reel, and they're always going to pull the line out of the reel, and they pull the line out of the reel, and then they get tangled up as you're going up the river, or you're putting them in your truck, and then you got a big mess. Sinker Slide eliminates a lot of that. Now, I've got a little product here that we just released this year. It's called the Sinker Bumper. This little yellow bead right here is the first ever soft rubber bead that's actually designed to take the heavy shock out of a no-roll sinker or an egg sinker. When it comes down and it hits that swivel, bam, it takes that shock out of there. Now, for years, people have been using beads. How many people use a red plastic bead right here? Now, I want you to think about this for a second. The bead is harder than the lead that you're fishing with. And what has happened here, and I'm going to explain to you how I figured this out. It was through many, many, many days on the water and guiding clients. I was using a bead there too. And after casting, after cast, after cast, I started noticing my lines would get frayed from about here to here. And I would have some clients grab a rod out of a rod holder and it'd set a hook every now and then and it'd just be whiff. There'd be nothing there and the line would break. And I know my line was stronger than that. And I know I didn't tie a bad knot. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, I really started looking hard at this because